Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My parents always seemed like they had the perfect marriage. My mom and dad met during their sophomore year of college. My mom, an art major with a love for painting, was a scholarship student who worked nights to make ends meet. My dad, on the other hand, was a business student from a well-to-do family. He was everything you'd expect from someone with his background: confident, ambitious, and charismatic. My mom later admitted she found him intimidating at first, but his persistence and charm won her over. Their relationship started out like something out of a romantic movie. My dad would sit at the diner where my mom worked, pretending to study, just to talk to her during her shifts. He sent her handwritten notes and even learned about art so he could engage in meaningful conversations with her. My mom, who had never been pursued so intensely, fell head over heels for him. They dated for 3 years before getting married right after graduation. Their marriage wasn't perfect, but for a long time, it seemed happy. My mom gave up her dream of becoming a professional artist to support my dad's career. He started a small business, and she helped him build it from the ground up. While he focused on the business side of things, she managed the household, organized network events, and handled the finances. She was the ultimate partner, supportive, intelligent, and hardworking. They were married for 25 years, and during that time, my mom poured everything she had into their relationship and our family. She was the glue that held everything together. My dad, on the other hand, seemed to thrive on being the center of attention. He loved throwing lavish parties, making grand speeches, and basking in the admiration of his friends and colleagues. My mom often joked that my dad married the spotlight, but she didn't seem to mind. She believed they were a team, even if he sometimes took her for granted. The cracks in their marriage began to show a couple of years ago when my dad started traveling more for work. At first, my mom didn't think much of it. She trusted him completely and assumed the increased travel was just part of the job. But looking back, there were signs, subtle changes in his behavior that hinted at something more. He started coming home later, claiming he was too busy to spend time with the family. He became more secretive about his phone, always keeping it on him and turning the screen away when he received messages. My mom, ever the optimist, believed he was just stressed from work. She never imagined there could be someone else. Enter Emily. Emily was my dad's new secretary, fresh out of college and eager to prove herself. She was in her early 20s, bubbly, and full of energy. From the moment she was hired, she seemed to gravitate toward my dad. She would laugh at all his jokes, hang on his every word, and constantly compliment him on his brilliant leadership. Emily was everything my mom wasn't, at least in my dad's eyes. She was young, flirtatious, and unburdened by the responsibilities of running a household or raising a child. My dad, who was struggling with his own insecurities about aging, soaked up the attention. It wasn't long before their professional relationship crossed the line. As far as I know, the affair began during a business trip, and from there, it escalated quickly. My dad became more distant, both physically and emotionally, but my mom remained oblivious. She had complete faith in him and would have never suspected he was capable of betraying her so profoundly. The truth came out one day when my mom received an anonymous letter in the mail. The letter detailed my dad's affair with Emily and included their pictures together kissing and hugging. To this day, we don't know who sent the letter, but it was clear that someone close to my dad, likely a disgruntled coworker, wanted my mom to know the truth. When my mom confronted my dad, he didn't even bother denying it. Instead, he turned the blame on her. He accused her of letting herself go and claimed that their marriage had become stale and boring. He said he felt trapped and that Emily made him feel alive again. My mom was devastated. She had sacrificed so much for him, her career, her independence, her dreams, and this was how he repaid her. The final blow came when Emily revealed she was pregnant. My dad acted like this was the best news in the world, as if this new baby was some kind of redemption for him. He announced that he was leaving my mom to start a new family with Emily, completely disregarding the life he was destroying in the process. The divorce was brutal. My dad, who had always been meticulous about appearances, tried to paint my mom as bitter and vindictive. He dragged out the proceedings, hoping to leave her emotionally and financially drained. But my mom wasn't alone. My paternal grandparents, who had always adored her, stepped in to support her. They ensured she had the best lawyers money could buy. My grandparents are wealthy, and while they had always been generous with my parents, they had their limits. They were disgusted by my dad's behavior and wanted to ensure he didn't benefit from their wealth. Shortly after the affair came to light, they rewrote their wills to exclude him and his new family entirely. Their entire estate, which is substantial, was left to my mom and me. Eventually, the divorce was finalized, and my mom got what she was entitled to. She moved on with her life, focusing on rebuilding herself and leaning on me and my grandparents for support. My dad, meanwhile, wasted no time flaunting his new relationship. He and Emily moved in together and started planning their wedding. Last month, I received an invitation to my dad's wedding. It was a grand formal affair. Emily had clearly spared no expense. The invitation included a handwritten note from my dad, asking me to RSVP as soon as possible, and saying he couldn't wait to celebrate this special day with his family. I stared at it for a long time, trying to process the audacity of it all. Did he really expect me to show up and play the supportive child after everything he had done? I sent my RSVP the next day, saying that I will not be attending. That was it. No explanation, no excuses. I thought that would be the end of it, but I should have known better. A few days later, my dad called me. He was furious. The moment I picked up the phone, he started shouting. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he demanded. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is for me? How it'll look if my own child isn't at my wedding?" I calmly told him that I had no intention of supporting a relationship built on lies and betrayal. He didn't take it well. "You're being selfish," he snapped. "This isn't about you. It's about supporting your family." I laughed bitterly. "Family?" I said. "You mean the family you destroyed? The one you replaced with a woman half your age?" That's when he dropped the bombshell. "If you don't attend this wedding," he said, "you're out of the will. Every cent I have will go to your new sibling." I couldn't help myself. I burst out laughing. He was ridiculous with his threat. I decided to tell him the truth. "You can disinherit me all you want," I said. "It won't matter. Grandma and Grandpa already wrote you out of their will. Everything they have is going to Mom and me, so good luck with that." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. I could almost hear him processing what I'd just said. When he finally spoke, his voice was shaking with rage. "You need to fix this," he demanded. "You need to talk to them and convince them to change the will, or you and your mother are going to regret that." I asked him, "How am I going to regret it? You going to disinherit me again? You know that Grandma's and Grandpa's estate is way bigger than yours." Since that conversation, my dad has been relentless. He's been calling and texting me nonstop, alternating between threats and pleas. One minute, he's accusing me of being ungrateful and disrespectful, and threatening me and my mother. The next, he's begging me to restore his legacy by convincing my grandparents to reconsider and think about my half-sibling and Emily's pregnancy. By the way, that made me laugh again. How he thinks I'm bothered about her pregnancy. Emily has also gotten involved, calling me in tears and accusing me of ruining their wedding. "Your father loves you," she sobbed. "He just wants you to be a part of his special day." I told her exactly what I thought. "You destroyed my family, and now you want me to pretend everything's fine? No thanks." She hung up on me after that. Meanwhile, my mom and grandparents have been incredibly supportive. My mom told me she's proud of me for standing my ground, and my grandparents are relieved that my dad is finally facing the consequences of his actions. Still, part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh. My dad may be a terrible person, but he's still my father. Am I wrong for laughing in his face and refusing to attend his wedding? OP's dad made his choices, and now he's facing the consequences. He can't expect OP to stand there smiling at his wedding like everything he's done doesn't matter. Honestly, it's refreshing to see someone refuse to cave to manipulative tactics like this. Also, the fact that OP's grandparents saw through him and made those changes to the will is poetic justice. OP is under no obligation to support his new life, especially after everything he put OP and his mom through. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Your dad sounds like a classic narcissist. He only cares about his image and the control he has over others. It's clear he didn't think twice about the pain he caused your mom, and now he's mad that you won't fall in line. The fact that he's demanding you fix the will situation is just laughable. He's only upset because he finally has to deal with the fallout of his own actions. Good on you for standing firm. Your loyalty to your mom and grandparents shows what kind of person you are compared to him. You are absolutely not the a-hole. Your dad's entitlement and arrogance are astonishing. He destroyed his marriage, humiliated your mom, and now expects you to show up and pretend like nothing happened? Ridiculous. Honestly, it sounds like his relationship with Emily is built on appearances and ego. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to guilt you more as the wedding approaches. Cutting ties might not be easy, but it might save you a lot of future drama. Focus on your mom and grandparents. They're the ones who really care about you. The moment you told him about the will, absolutely perfect. He thought he had all the power with his disinheritance threat, and you completely turned the tables. Your dad is just upset because he lost control, not just over your mom, but now over you too. Honestly, he needs to understand that respect is earned, and he's done nothing to deserve yours. Don't let him or Emily guilt trip you. You're handling this with more grace than he deserves. Keep standing your ground. You're doing the right thing. My dad and I had a very bad, toxic relationship. When I, 31 female, was 20, I told him that I never wanted to have contact with him again. I haven't spoken to him since. He died unexpectedly a few months ago at age 56. My dad was always a bit of a slacker, and it turns out he slacked off in writing his will, managing his post-mortem finance plans. Basically, I was listed as the only inheritor of almost all of his stuff. I had no idea about this until he died. But I probably wasn't supposed to get all his money, because he made it clear that he despised me. My dad had a very close relationship with his brother, my uncle, and his niece, my cousin, 24 female. Apparently, he had made comments to them about how they were his only family. Someday, his nice house would be theirs, and so on. When my dad died, my cousin reached out to me and explained that there had been a mistake in his legal situation, and his money was supposed to go to them. She showed me tons of pictures on her phone of her family spending time with him as proof they had a closer relationship. Admittedly, the money should have gone to them, but it didn't. It went to me. So I told my cousin that it wasn't my fault the money had come to me, and I wasn't about to give her any of it just because she was buddies with my cruel dad. I've already made plans for how I want to spend a significant portion of the money. I've paid off my student loans, I'm going to buy a house, and I bought a new car. Nothing too fancy, just something nice. My cousin texted me recently telling me that I was vile for spending the money of a man I hated, a man she loved. I told her that I was sorry for her loss, but it was rightfully my money. I don't feel bad for spending a cent of it. I've talked to plenty of lawyers, and the money is legally mine. But morally, I do think I might be an a-hole for spending money that belonged to someone I was estranged from. So I wanted to ask here, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He had plenty of time to make other arrangements and didn't. Sounds to me like they kept in touch with him because he had money to leave. Enjoy the money. It will give you the security your father didn't. Not the a-hole. This was on your father. You could make an argument that you are his actual daughter, and it's right for you to inherit based on that. And your cousin could make an argument saying that she was closer to him. However, the argument is moot because the one listed to inherit was you. That's what counts. She has no way of knowing whether, despite everything, that was his intention anyway. And the reason she, and you, don't know that is because he didn't take the time to make his intentions clear, if in fact he did want anything to be done in a non-standard way. Not the a-hole. Consider it compensation for having a crappy dad. Spend the money and make yourself happy. It's what he wouldn't have wanted. You might be overthinking this. Certainly, he probably didn't expect to die at 56, but he had enough foresight to write a will in the first place, so he could have made the effort to keep it up to date if that was what he desired. But sometimes reality isn't what we expect. He might have regretted his relationship with you. He might have hoped to eventually resolve things. And yes, he might have found some degree of solace with other members of his family, but was still keeping the door open for you to return and to mend things up. That wouldn't be an uncommon story. So he never changed the will because he hadn't yet given up on you. So don't consider it an oversight. If not at his death, at one point in his life, he wanted you to have everything and put that in writing. You were estranged and your relationship was toxic, but perhaps he didn't despise you as much as you thought. It's your money now, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It was your dad's responsibility to prepare for his untimely death. He didn't, and your uncle and cousins never convinced him to do it. So they all lost out. Note to everyone, make and sign a will. Otherwise, it will go to your legal next of kin, whether there's been an estrangement or not. My 35 female, husband, 37 male, and I have been married for 6 years and have a toddler, 4 female, together. Last year, during a very stressful move back to my home state, I had a miscarriage. I was about 12 weeks along and my husband and I were heartbroken, especially since we had already told our daughter she was going to be a big sissy. Fast forward to fall 2018, and we find out we are pregnant again and welcomed our healthy daughter in April 2019. My brother, 30 male, and his wife, 29 female, of 1 year called me excitedly in February, telling me they are expecting. Of course, I'm over the moon for another baby in the family. Suggest my OB's office and tell them I love them. A few weeks later, they no-show to my daughter's 4th birthday party. No text, no call. I text them after some prompting from my mom and sister asking where they are. He tells me things aren't looking good and they are headed to the ER. I offered my utmost support and explained I had just been through it myself, unfortunately. I would like to also make it known that my brother is a strange bird. We've never been close. We also have an older sister, 39 female. He has social anxiety disorder, amongst other things, and my mom always used that as an excuse or crutch for him to be kind of a crappy person. There truly is a lid for every pot because his wife is a match. She holds an advanced graduate degree, and my brother earned a 4-year degree from a state university, but she is just as weird as my brother. I've always swept his behavior under the rug, thinking he's young, immature, he will grow up when he meets the right girl, etc. Nope. Didn't even show up to my wedding. I usually have no expectations of him. That way, I can't be let down. Well, I expect my own grown brother to acknowledge the birth of my child. That's asking too much, apparently. I kept texting him updates, asking when he was coming to see her. No answer. Finally, he answers our mother saying his wife can't be around young children. I feel like if he would have communicated at all with me, I could be understanding. However, a month later and still no contact with me? This is the last straw. I blocked them all on social media. My family has always made excuses and rug swept for him, and I'm done with it. I understand grieving a loss, but does that mean you can't celebrate someone else's joy? My husband doesn't understand why I'm so upset, saying that he doesn't understand why I'm surprised with their behavior, and it should be par for the course at this point in our lives. So, am I the a-hole? Everyone sucks here. I think it was terrible that your brother didn't reach out to you, and I think it was immature of him to use your mother as an intermediate between the two of you. However, regardless of your own personal experience with miscarriage, grief is different for everyone. You truly have no idea what your brother and his wife are experiencing, especially if this was the loss of their first child. It really could be that difficult for them, and I think you should try to be more understanding. Yes, the a-hole. Have you even considered what an incredible bag of mixed emotions your brother and sister-in-law must be experiencing after losing a baby, to be expected to celebrate the birth of yours? No offense, but as someone who has been in that position and had to throw on the fake smiles and mutter all the fake platitudes while I was dying inside, from my point of view, you're being the a-hole, especially if your brother has social anxiety issues to begin with. Don't get me wrong. I'm beyond thrilled about family members born during that time, and I'm truly happy for them. But to be forced to share the experiences while I was still grieving felt like throwing lemon juice on a paper cut in my soul. Have some compassion here. Enjoy your fortune, but don't hold this against your brother and sister-in-law. They're going through enough. Yes, the a-hole. It sounds to me like they are still grieving their loss. There might be more to the story than you know. Maybe they were trying a while. Maybe this isn't the first pregnancy they've lost. Maybe there were complications discovered that will make conceiving again difficult. Or maybe they're just sad that their baby passed and don't want to be reminded of it yet. You are putting your own expectations on them based on your experience, and you shouldn't. It doesn't matter what you would or would not have done after your miscarriage, because they are not you. You want them to acknowledge your baby. How did you acknowledge theirs? Is your baby more important than theirs because she was born? I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, OP, but I'm just not sure what you want from them or why. Your motives seem selfish. I, female 26, work in a department that exists to support and help other employees. My department have different people with different skills, and our job is to coach other employees to be problem solvers and to be able to fix things quickly if the issue is easy enough, before requesting help from other departments. Sounds a bit weird, and older employees were pretty frosty at first. But after the first 3 months, we haven't received any negative reviews, and some of the older people have commented that they like how much help they have available, and that they like how much better they are with computers now, and new employees say they like the level of training offered because they feel pretty confident when they start dealing with clients. This helped a lot during the exceptional times, since most people are able to use the tech our company uses confidently because of the coaching received. Now, a lady in her 60s was assigned to me because she is struggling a lot with remote work, is rude to clients, not very punctual, and needs help with English and Spanish. She completely disregarded my instructions because, in her own words, "I've been doing this since before you were born." I did an inform of this and sent it to my boss and HR, but we gave her the benefit of the doubt because these are exceptional times. Well, another employee named Pablo sent me an email. Apparently, she complained about me to the rest of old employees and is asking them to sign a letter accusing me of being ageist. Pablo said that he and the others don't agree with her because I've helped them a lot, and they decided to inform me. I passed all the info to my boss, requesting that the lady gets reassigned to someone else from the department, but boss sent it to HR, and now the lady is fired. I had no idea, but lady is a friend of my uncle's wife, and now my aunt is telling everyone that I got her fired because she's not 25 like me. I tried to explain, but apparently my aunt informed everyone, even people from other states, that I don't like old people. And now even my cousins are texting me how much of a jerk I am because we have a lot of restrictions, and she's stressed out and she fears getting sick. Even my parents are mad at me, and my mom said that she now understands why I tell her to reduce her Facebook use. I know I did the right thing informing my boss, but I didn't expect her to be fired. Maybe I should have just spoken to her directly and been more patient because I feel awful about it. So, am I the a-hole? You really should not be discussing this with anyone except HR. You could inadvertently divulge confidential information. I would go back to HR and explain the familial connection and say you're being harassed outside of work. Then do not engage. Not the a-hole. She was bad at her job. You tried to help her. I don't think you tried to help her out of the goodness of your heart. I assume you tried to help her because that's your job and it's what your bosses want, right? They want her to be good at her job. You took steps to help her be good at her job. Taking your advice and working harder would have saved her job. She refused your help and dismissed you and your abilities. So she lost her job because of her refusal to be better at it. That's the story. Your family is ridiculous for making this personal. Not the a-hole, and don't put your family's feelings above anything else. They all need to grow up or something. If that lady is telling lies to everyone, then let your family know that, and then inform them that the discussion is over. If you have to bring up the existence of NDAs and other privacy issues, do it. Following advice from the first comments, I informed boss and HR of the harassment and the familial relationship I wasn't aware of. They're pretty shocked because usually things are pretty chill at work, but they're giving me their full support and forwarding it all to legal. I wasn't aware because all the info I actually had came from my family, but the lady wasn't fired and was only suspended without pay while they decided what to do, because they didn't want to fire anyone during the virus because things aren't particularly nice in our country. But it seems she's actually getting fired now. My younger brother, 22, let's call him Stefan, is graduating from university this coming July and has invited my younger brother, 18, and I to his graduation. History. Stefan, 13, caught our mother, 37 at the time, in bed with another man, the man she is currently going to get married to, and it totally destroyed his relationship with her. He exposed her to our father immediately, and we all chose to follow our father during the ugly custody battle, and the fact that she had mental illnesses did not help her case at all. She got visitation rights every weekend, but we never went, and cried whenever she came to visit us. My mother lost her crap and had to go to many therapy sessions as she had lost the custody battle. All her children chose to live with their father and didn't want to see her. Stefan was especially angry and said he could never forgive her for betraying our father and cut off all contact with her, despite her begging and trying to get in touch with him for the first 5 years after the incident. He clearly stated that he wanted nothing to do with her and said that if she continued, he would call the cops on her, and my second younger brother felt that way too, so she stopped. Fast forward to now. I am on okay terms with my mother after a few years of ignoring and detesting her. She is always happy when I visit her and wants us to bond, but I am not interested in building a bond. So during our latest catch-up session, my mother sheepishly smiled and told me that she was getting married this July and wanted all of her children to attend it. The date happened to coincide with Stefan's graduation date. I immediately rejected her and told her that it was my brother's graduation date and we were going out for a celebration after the event, so we would not be able to make it. At first, she was taken aback and then started bawling and said not only do we exclude her from our major life events, yes, I did not invite her for my graduation either. Now we are not even attending her major event. It's been so long and we still haven't forgiven her. I told her it was just the repercussions of her actions and just left. She has since been texting me non-stop and calling me, begging for my brothers and I to forgive her and attend her wedding, even for a little while. She really wants us there, or she won't be able to marry happily. I have told her no, but she keeps insisting. Am I the a-hole for not attending her wedding? Not the a-hole. If it was so damn important for her to have your blessing and participation, she'd have talked to you before making any arrangements, let alone setting a date. And even if she had, you still wouldn't need to agree to go. She needs to accept that just because she wants everyone to put her bad choices behind them doesn't mean it's going to happen, and deal with the situation she's got instead of trying to force you to play along. If she won't quit harassing you about it, I'd cut her off again, at least until after the wedding. Not the a-hole. Your mother made a choice to be unfaithful. Often the consequence of such a choice is alienation from family members. Time does not heal all wounds, as surely as it does not wound all heels. If your mother wants her children at her wedding, she should reschedule. That's not an option for your brother's graduation. Why on earth does she think that her children would want to witness her marry the person that played a part in breaking up their family? Not the a-hole, but Mommy Dearest sure is. Edit. Was talking to her on the phone call, and she says she is going to postpone the wedding to a different date so that I can attend.